So no countdown.
We are.
We're going.
Gunners football fans, little glitch there in the countdown. We were on before the countdown started. Your boy Shadow, he doesn't have it all together this morning. Welcome to another edition of the Uncensored Arsenal live stream, or regular Friday edition. And as usual, well, not so usual, welcome back, Blackburn George, to the Friday edition. And my good friend Ehab, who doesn't like to be known by his past profession as an ex-scout, probably had to sleep in all kind of motels and bed and breakfasts and sleep in his car. And
Yeah.
no wonder you're out of the profession. People think it was something there, a life of luxury. But from hearing from you, scouting was not an easy thing. But welcome, my friend. How are you both?
I'm all right.
And you, Ehab?
All good, guys. Everything's okay. A little bit under the weather, but I mean, it's I can do this.
Get going. Get going. I'm sorry. I didn't know that. I'm sorry to hear that you're under the weather, Ehab. Guys, so today,
It's okay.
today, in fact, in 9 hours, according to my screen, we play Aston Villa. By the way, we have lost our last 3 games at Aston Villa. I remember last year when they came up by us, or was it done by them? Ollie Watkins had a hat trick, 3-love, and then when the return game was 1-love. But we have had a history, recent history, as long as I have been, long as I started closely following Arsenal. They were our little. There was a gimme, as they say in America. But now they become more competitive. And in the write-up for this game, I said there are 2 teams going different directions. They are going up. Last year, they finished 11th. They just came up from the championship a couple of years ago. And we were down to 8th. At one point, we were down to 14th and 15th. And we are right now 11th and 12th, respectively. Arsenal, Aston Villa. And the only difference is that they've suffered 4 losses, but they've scored 12 goals to our 7. And the only common opposition is Spurs, who beat them. And we beat Spurs 3-1. So, George, you're closest to me on the screen. What are you expecting today? How do you want to set this up in terms of where Aston Villa is at and where Arsenal is at?
Well, I would say that they're playing better football than us to the eye, and statistically as well. I want to touch on that a little bit because I said last week that our position at 12th wasn't a false position, and I've revised that because I think it is a false position. I worked it out. I thought on performances, we should be on 6 goals, 6 points, and in 17th, just on the eye test of what I looked at and what games we should have won and shouldn't have won. If you look at the underlying statistics on pressing, I've just seen one other day that we're in the bottom 3 in pressing.
Oh, yes.
Goal difference, -5. Shots, attempts against, dreadful. XG against, dreadful. We are in a false position. It's like that 22-game run of Emery. Results were far exceeding performances. And I said at that time that eventually the mean would be found and results would be a reflection of performances. And the way it's going, we're actually in a relegation fight statistically. That there's no getting away from it. Every underlying metric has us in trouble. We're not in trouble because somehow we've managed to get to 12th position and unbeaten in 5. But it's not through good play. It's through good fortune. And it's worrying. And Aston Villa are where they are through good play, through their play. They deserve to be at least where they are. I think they've been unlucky. I mean, did they lose last week?
They lost to Wolves
to
on
Wolves,
Saturday, very unluckily.
When they were comfortably the better team, comfortably for 80 minutes. And that was an anomaly. That was a blip. So they're actually playing a lot better than us. And we have better players than them, so that gives us a chance. But on the whole, performance-wise, this will be a very, very difficult game for Arsenal. I don't expect us to get anything out of it. I hope we do.
George, I want to say this for you. You and I were podcasting at the time, but we weren't using this platform. We weren't using YouTube, and we didn't have as much listeners. I can tell people that our listeners and subscribers have grown, by the way. So I'm going to just throw that in because, guys, I want to thank you because we're gaining ground. But I remember, George, a real point I'm going to turn to Ehab, actually, that you and I said this, and people were skeptical, you in particular. I'm going to give you credit that we will return to the mean and that the 22-game unbeaten run was false. Ehab, do you agree with George? Is our 10th position false?
12th.
Yeah.
12th position false. Is it 12th?
I do agree with George. Actually, it is false.
Sorry about that, George. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it is
Sorry about
false.
it, Ehab. Go ahead.
It's okay. And we keep getting lucky. We even Villa, we are catching them on a downward spiral right now. They have lost 2 in a row that they did not deserve to lose.
Yes.
And
have we lost you, Ehab? We seem to have lost Ehab. Let's get him back up. I'm not hearing him. George seemed to have lost Ehab. Yeah, he was saying that their last 2 games that they lost, and we was an aberration. They were unlucky.
Yeah.
Go ahead, George.
And that's how I see it. That they're playing better football than us, although results points-wise are very similar. So for me, when one team is playing better football than another, regardless of the results that have gone before, on the day, the team playing good football is favourite. And I have Aston Villa's favourite to beat us.
Well, you know that these big websites don't agree with you, George. And they never, by the way, I never agreed you do when you said we would return to the mean. I'm looking at SofaScore here, and they're saying on the 42% chance of Arsenal winning, and they're giving Aston Villa 27% chance of winning. But Adrian Clark writes some good analysis of opposing teams for the Premier League, and he's saying that they attack very well, but what happens is that they leave the back door open. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? That they're the 4th best team in regaining possession in midfield, George. Now think about that for a minute. This is where we slipped badly against Crystal Palace, right? And he also speaks about the fact that they are not very good. They're not very good in getting the second ball from free kicks, and that's what happened to them against Wolves in a couple of those free kick situations, and they lost goals by not, they didn't get the second ball. So my main concern is how they regain possession. They are the 4th best team in the league in getting possession back in midfield. And that is what Crystal Palace did to us. And don't you anticipate something like this today?
Well, I do, yeah. And with the midfield that we'll be putting out, whoever they are, I don't expect us to win. that particular battle. We've just got to hope that because we've got better strikers, and we have got better strikers, that we can outscore them. But again, I just see them playing better than us makes them favourite. I don't. You see, when you get this, what's the percentage chances of them winning and etc. Things are taken into account like historical results. Well, for me, it doesn't matter how the history says going back 10 years. It's today, and for me, looking at how both teams are playing, it's as simple as that. They're favourites.
Yes.
Oh, Ehab's back. Let's go to Ehab.
Let's go to Ehab. Ehab, you're back. You were saying that the last two losses were falls. George tried to pick up from you, and I've been struggling to bring you back in. Yeah. So, what can you continue on the trend of thought, please? Ehab?
Oh, he's frozen again.
Frozen again. We're gonna freeze him out then.
That's what you get for not going to a cheap hotel and getting bad Wi-Fi.
Right. That's exactly what you get. And he's unwell as well, George. So, George, I am expecting when I brought the stats about them being a very good team recovering the ball in midfield, the fourth best in the league so far.
And we're the third worst.
And we're the third worst. We anticipate them to be doing the same tactic. And talking about how we're gonna how we can beat them, I read Arteta's presser, and he didn't seem to have any idea as to how he was going to change the attacking formation. And what do you expect from Arsenal today? Because that is the whole point. How can Arsenal beat Villa?
Well, I think it'll be the same team again, very similar. So the same tactics. I mean, he has this blueprint that's not working. 33% win rate at home at the Emirates.
Jesus, yeah, George, I've seen that stats.
I mean, fuck's sake. And week after week, we have to watch absolute crap. And I just don't see any change. What's he going to do different? I don't think he's inclined to do anything different. I think he's convinced that this will somehow magically work. It's like sitting in your car. When the car won't start, you keep turning the key.
You keep turning the ignition, right?
And he's turning, and the battery's getting flatter and flatter. But he's convinced that it's all of a sudden going to spark into life. He's going to shoot off, and he's going to be first to the next traffic lights. Well, it's not going to fucking work for me. Anyway, Ehab's back, and I can see him moving.
Ehab, we see you moving. I brought you up on the screen. Let's hear your audio. Are you there? Ehab, your audio. Are you muted, Ehab?
No, I'm okay now. I'm just having internet issues. It's the hotel internet. Something's wrong with it.
If you're scouting, it would have been better. Yes, you heard me, and George.
Oh my God, it would have been.
What do you expect? What do you expect from Arsenal?
Pretty much the same thing. Arsenal. Villa is a moment of truth, because the players that they have up front, like especially Danny Ings, he's not gonna waste the chances that Brighton and the guys we played last week are gonna waste.
Crystal Palace.
If you give those people chances, Crystal Palace, because Crystal Palace played us without Zaha and Eze, so they're clinical players there. Yeah, so this guy, if you give Danny Ings a chance, he's gonna finish it. I think.
There you go again, the cheap hotel Wi-Fi.
So you cannot. What is it?
Keep going.
Yeah. So you cannot just discount this guy. And they also have Ollie Watkins, who's a bright young talent. And the thing is, they have the players to create in Barkley and Buendia and McGinn. There are players that are gonna create for these players, and they do something on defense. Dean Smith does something on defense he allows the other team to attack on the sides, and this is what I expect Arsenal to do, just to attack from the wings, because this is all what Arteta knows what to do. They are going to give you the wings, and they are going to keep you wide so you can cross in. They have Martinez, who's a tall keeper
Very
who
tall
comes out for
goalkeeper.
crosses. They have Mings, and they have this new young defender. So you're not going to get anything from crosses, and they don't press. They're not a pressing team. What they do is that they do a mid defense. They do a 4-4-2 defense that starts just beyond into the other team's half, and they kind of press you in a very narrow place, in a very narrow area, so you don't get the space that you think you have. And if they score first, it's not going to be 1-0, it's going to be 2 and 3-0 if they score first, because the way that they play. um, they have had some trouble with the changes in defense, and the biggest trouble has been from set pieces. They have conceded more than anything from set pieces.
Correct.
One of them, I think, two of them are own goals. If you look at the players who scored against them, they're mostly defenders. There's just players who you cannot mark on a defensive end, and this is usually. It's kind of what the other managers do, because there's a lot of times that the other managers will get desperate and they will advance some defenders, especially when set pieces. So it's hard. It's not easy to score against this team. They're 13th, but they have the quality. Finally, they have the quality to punish us if we give them
Well,
uh, the same control that we've given the Brighton or Crystal Palace.
they have scored 12 and conceded 12, so the goal difference is 0, and
Mhm.
3 of those goals was last game against Wolves. But okay, that's enough of Aston Villa. What do you
Hang on a
just on
minute.
this point? What do you expect from Arsenal? Because the point of a preview by an Arsenal group of fans is to think about how we can beat them. George doesn't have much optimism. George's feeling is that Arteta is going to do the same old thing and it's not going to work. What do you think we can do to beat this team?
Well, I mean, you gotta excuse George. We haven't shown anything to be optimistic about. I've been watching Twitter, and you guys have went into a 10-hour discussion with one of the guys about how, and he's calling us pessimistic. And to be honest, it does feel like that sometimes, but we're not. We're just saying what's going on. It's much worse. Uh, some people say, "Oh, just because what you Wenger fans, you're not Arsenal fans." And it's funny because I think both of us have been doing this before Wenger was there, and it's just silly. I mean, those people, we don't have anything to be optimistic about, because those people. Can you hold on? Can I take a break for a second, guys? Is that possible?
Yes, of course you can. We're gonna just take you out. Go
Okay.
ahead. Yes, George. I still am. We are on this thing about being optimistic or not. And what is there to be optimistic? What can we hope? The best we can hope from today's game.
Well,
It might be.
the best we can hope for is a win, and a comfortable win. We've got good enough players to do it. This is the problem. And this is what I keep saying to people who say, oh, you're upset because Wenger's gone. I'm not upset because Wenger's gone. He's been gone 3.5 years. I accept it. He's gone. He's not coming back. Fine. I even say to you, stop harking back to Wenger. The
Yes.
point is not how good Wenger was, it's how bad Arteta is. But people just don't seem to understand it. I'm not judging Arteta by Wenger's standards. I don't expect any manager to come in and be as good as Arsene Wenger, but I don't expect him to come in and be crap. And he's proven over 2 years that he's not doing it right. He's not got it right. We've made a mistake. And we all make mistakes. I wanted him in the first place. I made a mistake. You have to acknowledge your mistakes and move on, put them right. And it doesn't matter how optimistic you want to be, the stats, the facts what you see in front of you day in, day out, week in, week out, tells you that we're not getting better. We're just not. And everybody's fit. It's not like, you know, we've got Mesut Ozil, Santi Cazorla, Aaron Ramsey all to come back in because they've been out fit. They're all fit, bar Xhaka. So where's this magic improvement coming from? I'm telling you now, it's not coming. It's not. The best we can hope for is that we improve to mediocrity, because at the moment, the way we play, we're playing relegation standard.
And anyway,
let's get back to Ihab, because I want to ask him to expand on what he was saying. He was about to go into, are we in a false position?
Yes, we missed that. Ihab, are we not? George's question. Are we in a false position, Ihab? Get your audio up. Ihab.
Yeah, we are in a false course. Do you hear me?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Okay. Yeah, it is. We are in a false position. Of course, we are. We are playing like. I mean, think about it. Think what we are going to do to beat Villa. Nothing. We are going to be just our own miserable selves for another game.
Jesus,
our midfield is non-existent. Yeah, our midfield is non-existent. It's useless, and the only stats that our midfield is getting are negative stats. They turn the ball over. They make mistakes. That's it. Our defense is taking a beating. They are facing so many attacks per game. And we don't get the ball to our offense at all. We don't get the ball forward. We're not using the striking power and the creative power that we have in our team. And we are going to continue doing that. We are going to attack through the sides and through the wings, and it will result in almost anything. And we're gonna be relying on individual brilliance. Or a bouncing ball that bounces into like a set piece or something, and we score a goal and that's it. So we don't have the build up to play against a team like Villa. There are plans, like there are ideas to beat a team like Villa that presses you midway. Like you can let some people sneak behind them. You can play the long ball. You need a clinical finisher behind that makes runs behind the defense, which is, if you remember, Arsene wanted to buy Vardy, and this is why he wanted to buy them for these kind of teams. And but right now, it's useless. It is our offensive midfield next game is going to be zero because of the way that Villa defends.
Well,
you're not
I
going
want
to
to tell
see
people
it.
this.
You're just going to run down.
I'm going to give you a focus here. I know you're a focus, but I'm going to give you a further focus. When I was running through some stats, I missed this one. I knew that there was something I was forgetting. So far this season, Villa has created 64 turnovers. And Adrian Clark is saying that they have not taken enough advantage of it. They've only gotten 4 shots off the 64 turnovers. Remember, against Crystal Palace, it's turnovers that killed us. And because the two, both Lakango and Partey turned the ball over and led to goals directly. Let's remind people of this. So we're having a team that focuses on turning you over and trying to get the ball to Watkins and now to Danny Ings. The problem I'm having is that there are several people in our fan base and the media who thinks that Partey is press resistant and he is going to be the person who's going to allow us to break the press and that Villa will mount. Why are we so deluded? I ask you, because you have said this over and over. Why do people think, for example, when you answer this question, once Sambi Lokonga came on against Crystal Palace, who was getting the ball off Ramsdale? Do you recall that? Why are people thinking that our midfield will be able to manage a team that tries to press and turn over in the middle of the park? could you tell me this, Ehab and George? Perhaps let's start with George and then come to you, Ehab. George, why are they so deluded? I really am very concerned about that.
Well, we were deluded because we paid £50 million for him. and people assume from that gives you quality, world-class quality. And unfortunately, it's not proved to be the case. And then so it's almost like Pogba at United. We need a partner for him. How many people are we going to have to bring in?
Fred, McTominay, alphabet super for the people. And yeah, go ahead, George. I know.
Yeah, how many people are we going to have? How many players are we going to have to bring in to complement Partey to get the best out of him? Because we haven't seen anything like the best of him. And I'm beginning to doubt if there is a best of him. I mean, he's shooting.
The best person beside him is Xhaka. Let's be honest.
Well, the best person beside anybody is Xhaka currently in our team.
Yes.
It's that's just because he's the best midfield player we have by a country mile.
And he's a deep line playmaker, George. And people are expecting him to be a number 10, which just annoys me because Anyway.
And they're expecting him to be an out-and-out defensive midfielder.
Yes.
He's neither of those things, but he's still the best option we have. But Partey obviously will play better with Xhaka, just like Lukongo, just like El Neni, just like anybody else will play better with Xhaka. But we haven't got Xhaka. We've got fucking Partey, knocking pigeons out the sky and giving the ball away on the edge of the area and passing nowhere to nobody. It's
give Ehab a chance on this, George. Give Ehab a chance. Yes, Ehab. I mean, why are we so deluded? Why do we think that this midfield? Why do we think that young Odegaard and Smith Rowe will be able to dictate the game against Villa? Last year they pressed us, took the ball away, and Ollie Watkins got off two and scored 3 goals on us. Why are we thinking that this is going to happen today? Sorry.
It's not, because first of all, the system holds those people back. They are better players than what we're saying right now. We've seen them play like crap, but the system are holding those people back. I mean, Pogba. If you put Xhaka next to Pogba, like if Mourinho bought Xhaka and he put him next to Pogba 5 years ago, Pogba would have been one of the best midfielders in the league. I mean, what else do you need? You have some who's a deep playmaker who can help you from deep. He keeps the ball, he passes the ball well, and he defends. He covers for you.
But why
what else do you need if you want to showcase your?
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, Ehab. Ehab, I know there's a delay here. But why is it so hard to recognize amongst our so-called expert fans? I mean, I listen to podcast after podcast. Go ahead.
Yeah, we paid 50 million for him, and
George,
nobody wants
George
to
said the same thing.
that the most expensive. Yeah, it's the most expensive central midfielder in our history. Is a flop. And
yes.
Same goes for Pepe, by the way. And nobody wants to admit that. Everybody wants to hype up players. I think Wenger has left it's Wenger's birthday, so it's fitting to talk about him. He left people, especially our younger fan base, are so butthurt by him. You know, there's a lot of people whose sole purpose are to hype up players who are signed by Arteta and put down players who are signed by Wenger. I mean,
is that the problem, George?
Which is stupid.
Is that the problem, George? Is that because they want to put all the players that Wenger signed and boost the players that we spend all this big money on? Is that it too, George?
Well, I think that is a problem, that people are... The facts, the evidence has proven Wenger supporters right. We've got worse. We've got considerably worse. It's fucking awful. I don't think there's any question now that that's the case, that it was a mistake. But they don't want to admit it. Nobody wants to admit to being wrong. And they'll do anything to justify that they were right. I mean, you see it now. I mean, Arteta needs his team. Well, he's got his team, you know, and it's worse. So it's just human nature. Nobody wants to hold their hand up and say, I got that wrong. I'm sorry. And I tell you what, if these idiots that jumped on the bandwagon to get Wenger out would just hold their hands up and say, look, I got it wrong. Fucking hell, I'm so sorry. I fucked up. We could all move on. It's the fact that they keep trying to justify and double down on the wrongness that annoys. And then you get people like me who go the opposite way to counter their stupidity and go over the top with praise for Arsene like he never did anything wrong at all. But obviously he did.
Right.
And it's just a cycle that we're not getting out of. We're 3.5 years in to not having Arsene Wenger. We should be well beyond him. It should be behind us. But we can't get it behind us because people won't accept that we got it wrong. That's all we're asking for. That's all I'm asking for. Just say sorry.
Well, you know, George, it's a thing called acceptance. The seven stages of grief. What, you know? And we have, you know, George, we're still far away from that. Let's just be clear. People are they have not accepted that we made a mistake, and certainly they have accepted that we made a mistake. Well, they're coming to the point now. Yeah,
they won't ever accept it.
Well, you know, that's why again, you know, you and I'm going to bring back Ehab. His hotel thing is terrible, but that is why, as you said, George, every week I'm trying to not, as you advise me, not to get into this Wenger thing. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, he's in his first and final year. He's a miles ahead of this guy. You're trying to justify your position. Anyway, that is the people who refuse to accept that what we're doing now is terrible. What you're trying to do is put down Wenger to justify a terrible coach that we currently have. Ehab?
Yes.
What is your expectation of the scores?
It's going to be another terrible game. I don't know what the score is going to be, but if we're lucky, we get a draw. But I don't think that they're going to score. They have to score. It's either if Villa scores, they're going to rout us. They're gonna go up to 2-3-0. So let's say 2-0 by to Villa, to Aston Villa.
George.
Yeah,
you have said against Tulov.
I'm going to predict that they beat us comfortably because my predictions are famously wrong. So I'll predict that we get beat comfortably and then we'll probably win and everybody can laugh at me with my predictions.
Okay, guys, we are done 30 minutes of game. And, you know, people need to, I don't want to overburden them when they listen to this. But for my part, on the risk of us being branded as negative, I am also I'm pessimistic. I think Emi Martinez will have a lot to say when they stick the mic in front of him after the game and, you know, try to dig the knife in. But Emi, stay away. Don't even get dragged into that. It's gonna be I think we're probably gonna lose. I'm not. You know how this is. It could be a draw and they shock us or we win on our lucky goal. But at the way we are playing today, I think Leon Bailey coming back.
Saka's not playing.
Who's that?
Saka's not playing, possibly.
Saka not playing. I am concerned. Leave it at that.
Anyway,
thank you very much.
Just before we go,
yes,
happy birthday, Arsene Wenger.
Oh, happy birthday to you, Arsene. You brought us love and joy.
Arsene, take the Newcastle job.
Oh, my God.
£1 billion and give us something to watch when Arsenal aren't playing.
They're probably offering him like £20 million a year. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you later at post game.
Enjoy the game. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.